selling your home fast. This is your 30-day plan to get a move on. Because actually, a speedy sale rarely happens by accident, we could say. More often than not, it's the result of like really deliberate, focused, and a well executed plan. And actually, the highest offers usually come when the listing is fresh and it's hot listing, we would like to say. And just like selling anywhere else, selling your home fast in Scotland is about creating that sense of urgency and spurring buyers kind of into action, act fast with an opportunity that is really simply too good to miss. And I think, Perry, that's probably the great thing with like our pre-portals, because that does also help create that sense of urgency, doesn't it? Because it's a get it while you can, best offer, no regrets offer, and they've got that short window of time to act fast, and that really does help with that sense of urgency.
Absolutely, it does. And I think as well, anyone and there's many of them who follow our portals, follow our channels because they know that's where they'll see it first before it goes to the website. So that really does kind of galvanise the buyers to get looking, and actually quite galvanises sellers as well to get looking. Funnily enough, today I was actually doing a pre-portal at a property in Kirkcaldy, and I was literally just finished recording it, walking back to the car, and the neighbour came over and said, "Oh, could you come and have a look at my house? And I've watched all your videos." So it's about people understand the excitement of how it works for them and how it can really galvanise the buyers into moving quickly. So it's definitely a big factor in moving for sure for us.
Absolutely. And I think that's why this is going to be a brilliant show, because there's a lot of like hints and tips for your kind of move-in plan. However, if you are watching this and you think we've perhaps missed something, or you've got any of your own tips, put it in the comments. Like, we would love to hear it. We love sharing case studies and understanding how everybody kind of maneuvers this really big move in life. It's your biggest asset, so it is a big thing. So if there's anything you want to share with us, absolutely do. Likewise, you can click the link as well and read through the blog, because actually throughout this show, we've put a lot of links in there to different shows that we've done that will really help you. For example, we've got like the decluttering blog. That's a fantastic one. So the link is in this script as well. So feel free to have a wee look through. But if there is one thing for sure, it's that your home will be at its kind of most exciting and hot in its kind of first month of hitting the portals and going out there. So it is absolutely vital to maximize the impact of those really critical early weeks to ultimately avoid the risk of going stale or kind of sticky, if you like. Obviously, everybody's got their own word of what they use for it. But with that in mind, we have got this almost like insider's guide to your process for kind of the next 5-phase plan, and it's clear and it's easy to manage, and it gives you the best chance to finding a buyer, hopefully within 30 days. And if you're a wee bit like me and you love lists or sticky notes, this would also be great to click the link, but maybe even print it out, and then you can tick things off if you do it, because that's something I would be doing, is ticking it off as you go through it, and maybe even make some little scribbles and some little notes. But phase 1, prepare for success. What does that look like, Perrie? Start us off.
So I think phase 1, prepare for success, for me is all about that preparation. And we always say it, preparation's everything. It's the 3 Ps, isn't it? We all know what happens with the last one if you don't prepare. It turns out not in a very good way. So preparation for me is vital. There are lots of things that you can be doing before your home goes to the market. And I think for me, you really want to be ensuring that you optimize the way that your property looks, the way that you can stage it. You want it ready really, so from your launch point, it's absolutely looking at its best. It's ready for the viewings, and then you've got that kind of legal momentum as well. So all of those little things that you can be doing, preparing for, really does help you. So shortlist your agents would be my biggest thing. So absolutely, you want to get more than one opinion, for sure you do. So definitely get more than one opinion. You want to be having a look at the property portals. How do the agents list the properties? What is unique about what they do? How would they make your property stand out above everything else that they're marketing? So that for me is a really big thing. And if you look at their portals as well, you'll see, have they continually got multiple price reductions? Have they got numerous homes that are currently for sale that have been sat in the market for quite some time that is in your location at your price point? if you do that, kind of maybe it would indicate a little bit of an overvaluing tactic. Really important to do comparables that are similar to your own though, because if you're sitting with a 150,000 3-bedroom semi, you can't compare that to a 450 to 500,000 5-bed property. They're two different things. So you absolutely, if you are going to use that as a tactic and a shortlisting tool, look at comparables in your street, in your location. Generally, when agents prepare, they have a geographic preparation point that they have with case studies. I certainly know that I do. And I generally will start looking in the postcode of the person. Then I would go to kind of the half-mile radius, and then I would start going further afield if there's not sufficient comparables. So definitely look at that, look at timescales and look at the types of the properties, and also then geographically, where do they sit with you? So that's really important. I think select an agent as well who listens to your plan. I think that's really crucial. I was at a client today and they basically were thrilled to hear me say to them, look, just because you market your property and you haven't found a property yet, it's down to the agent to manage that process for you. If someone comes along and they want to move quicker than you can move, then the answer to them is you have to be flexible, or it's no, or you're not our buyer. So it's about really helping them understand the process. And their feedback to me today was, well, actually, no one's ever said that. We've kind of been told that once we list it, it's you list it and you're out, and that's it if your buyer comes along, which made them panic a little bit. So actually saying, just because you're marketing your property doesn't mean that you lose control of it. The agent really should be giving you all of the information that you need to make sound decisions that work to your timeline and also with your family. So that's really important. So absolutely make sure you find someone that listens to your plan. That's crucial, because actually if you list it and have not listened to your plan, that's when things can really start to unfold and get quite messy. And that's a stressful situation for you to be in, especially if you perhaps are a seller who's got a young family. You know, Christmas is coming up as well. There's lots of things happening at this time of year. So that can make it really stressful, even more so for people. Also, as well as listening to your plan, they need to demonstrate how they've done the valuation. So for me, that's really paramount. That's probably the key thing. So have they evidenced that valuation? We talk about this a lot, Sophie, don't we? So it's about, can they show you similar houses in a similar area, in a similar timeline? You know, there's no point in them showing you something from 2022, 23. You need to see something that's now, because the markets are changing constantly. So have they shown you that evidence? What that does for you really as a seller is give you confidence that they know the area well, they know what's working, the agent understands the local market, and they know what's selling and what prices they're selling at, and also the timelines that they're likely to sell. So that's really important for me. You also want to make sure that they've got a really good marketing strategy. You want to make sure that they can work with your offers, and how does that work, and what's their firm commitments around that to you. You know, how are they going to keep in touch with you is a big thing. So how frequently you're going to have touch points. What are the mechanisms of it as well? Because another thing that I heard recently was that actually they've said to me the only way they'll talk to me is by phone. But actually that doesn't work for me. You know, I've got a really busy life. I've got a really young family. I've got a full-time job. You know, we work in numerous ways, don't we? We've got email, we've got Messenger, we've got WhatsApp groups. We literally will work to whatever communication style our client prefers. So again, it's about how your agent will adapt to that as well, because the worst thing you don't want to do is be missing your agent because you think they've got vital information, but they're not reaching out to you in the right way. So for a seller, that can become kind of a bit of a frustration. So that's really important. Deciding on your asking price as well. I think that that's really important. So your agent will help you strike the perfect balance in regards to what that price may look like. But also about making it look bold. How's it going to stand out online if it's competing against similar properties? You know, if you've got one in your street already, how do you make yours stand out from that other one? So again, it's about understanding that as well. And, you know, how do they stand out against your competition? Are they attracting, again, the right target market for you? So again, is it an agency that has been able to prove to you and you'll be able to demonstrate it, as well as obviously for yourself find out that you can see, well, actually, yes, they are selling in this area, they're selling locally, they're selling similar type houses, they're being successful in what they're selling them for. So actually that works for me. But if you don't get that confidence, again, you want to be asking more questions around that for me, for sure. I think getting your home ready for viewings now is a great thing as well, as part of this preparing for success as well. So get it ready for your viewings. And as you mentioned earlier on, the decluttering blog, that's in this post. So again, you can click on that. There's one about decluttering. There's hints and tips and techniques as well about how to get organized, how that suits your mindset. It's not just about the decluttering, it's about all the emotions. How does things sound? How do they feel? Is it too cold? Is it too warm? Have you opened windows? Have you closed windows? What are the scents like? What's the visuals like? So, if people are walking into kitchens, are the window areas clear? If you've got patio doors, are there lots of things in furniture in front of it that don't make that stand out? Because again, you want to see the flow of the property. So that's something as well you should be gaining from your agent, is all your hints and tips on how you could do that. And your last thing really, which is one of the things actually that most people forget, is engaging your solicitor.
Yes.
Everybody thinks engaging the solicitor should happen at the end. It actually shouldn't. It should happen at the beginning, because that is the longest process. And that's where actually, if you don't give the solicitor enough time, your conveyancing process could be delayed purely simply because you've not given them the opportunity at the start to start preparing the work that they need to do. So absolutely choose your solicitor, begin that process of the preliminary legal work. I think that's really important. They've got a lot to compile. They've got pre-contract packages to look at. So by doing that and understanding how their timeline works will actually help you minimize any delays absolutely at the end of it. So for me, that's a really good thing. But again, if you're looking for a safe pair of hands as well, we've also got a blog, the links here as well, about how to choose that agent. We did a show on that the other week, didn't we? So again, that will help people kind of look into more detail about what sorts of things they should be doing. So if you're a seller or potential seller, how do you prepare? How do you choose? What questions you should be asking? What timelines you think you should be working to? And how to challenge as well. And there's 15 essential questions in that blog that we would suggest that you be finding the answers to. So absolutely important to look at that. I think that's really your first phase for me. Your second phase for me is how to perfect your preparation. And I think that for me is the second thing. So what does that look like, Sophie?
Oh, absolutely. Your presentation is absolutely key, because there is no doubt that buyers respond and even reject homes based on, one, their marketing, but also their presentation. Now, you have a very small amount of time to capture somebody's interest, and people, when they've got busy lives and busy schedules, they will often make kind of snap judgments. So actually, you need to work with an agent that can have those kind of frank conversations with you and say, look, you've instructed me for a reason. We need to get your property sold. Do you want me to, and this is what we do, Perrie, do you want me to sugarcoat things, or do you want me to tell you what perhaps needs done to get it market ready? Because it's about the presentation, and only when the presentation is absolutely spot on does then the marketing obviously fall into place. And it's then obviously your agent's job to get that absolutely aggressive marketing that is out there in the marketplace and is getting the reach that you need. And there are so many different things, but firstly, it's getting that very first curb appeal absolutely spot on, because 9 times out of 10, people will see the property, they'll then go and do a drive-by. Perhaps they'll book a viewing, but before the viewing, they'll do a drive-by, or perhaps they'll do a drive-by before even booking a viewing. They are coming to basically scope the place out, to check what it looks like. And actually, those first impressions make such a big difference, because if your property from the outside doesn't look cared for, doesn't look maintained, and it hasn't got that curb appeal, automatic mindset is, okay, if this is the outside, what does the inside look like? Is
It
this
says
a
an awful lot about the sellers, doesn't it, in regards to what the outside looks like. And we have had scenarios like that where in the past people maybe have had a drive-by beforehand, and we've seen in some cases, they are extreme, but they do happen. Once they've driven past it, they actually cancel their viewing for exactly that reason.
Yep, absolutely. So again, one, what is your agent doing to guide you through and giving you hints and tips of what to do for your particular property? But if you're curious, then again, there's a link in this for our autumn curb appeal that we all did, and it is about giving you those first impressions and seasonal tips. So that's the outside. Then when we've wowed them on the outside and we've got them through the door, it's then about setting the stage. And it's about those clean, plump, you could say, and really tidy home styling tips. And this is for every single room. And that is the key here. And it might seem like a big task and daunting, but do it in manageable short bits. Just do it room by room and work your way through it. And again, there's a fantastic blog that you can read through, and it is about the kind of golden moments that, excuse the pun, buyers fall for. But there are some fantastics, because yes, it's about the cosmetics, but again, something we often speak about is the senses, it's the smells, it's the textures, it's what they can feel. It's also the temperature as well when we do that. As you've touched on, Perrie, is it too cold? Is it too hot? What do the smells look like? So it's all of those. So actually that's a brilliant one to then help you set the stage when they get through the door. And then it's your photography. And this is absolutely key. I was at a property this morning doing marketing who has previously been on with another agent, and obviously it hasn't sold, so they've moved over to ourselves. And obviously as part of that kind of process, when I was out to them, I said to them, okay, were you happy with your photography beforehand? No. I was like, right, okay, what did you not like about it? What do we need to address and tell me and guide through? And we absolutely did that. So we were out with the photographer this morning. It was, can you make sure you get me this shot? Can you get me this shot? Actually, can you make sure you don't get that included in it? Can you get me this angle? Get the pole out, because it's a corner plot. I want a pole shot so people can see that. And it's all these little things. It's not just kind of turning up and snapping a few photos with the phone and chucking them on, and they're really dark or they're dingy, or they've perhaps got too much of the other property or the street, or it's not really showcasing that this is the home and this is what we're into.
For me, I think that's a really big thing as well, and it's a really valid point. And we come across this often, especially if we've got large properties or corner plots, or they have neighbouring parts, or it's country located. Sometimes if you just take a front picture, it's difficult to understand how much of the house is actually the one that's for sale, and how much of the garden is actually the garden that's for sale. So you're absolutely right, getting those aerial photographs and the distant photos and the corner and tilts are really important to really showcase exactly what's on offer.
Absolutely. And I think for ourselves, Perrie, we're passionate about this, but it isn't just our photography. Our marketing includes the video walkthroughs. Now, obviously, no other agent can say that within Fife. We obviously can, but it isn't just about the professional photography. We then also do our location tours as well that have the digital markers, again, allowing people to understand what lifestyle they're buying into and the location, and actually where is the commuting links, if it's perhaps, in the Leavenmouth area where you've got the new train station, or is it perhaps countryside settings and you've got walks, or is it perhaps in the East Neuk and you've got the Fife Coastal Path? So we have the location footage with the digital markers. We have the drone that will go up and get those aerial shots, while also having the professional photographer. And we do some gorgeous, really in-depth photographs as well of some, if it's got ornate detail and ceiling roses or cornicing, or perhaps it's got a gorgeous mosaic flooring or stained glass windows. What are we doing to capture all of that? And again, with the photography and the location tours, then obviously comes our video walkthroughs that honestly do so much of the heavy lifting, because they're so in detail and so in depth, and allow people to get a true understanding of what they're buying into. And that is the key here as well. It's not just the presentation, but it is the marketing. And that is the difference between you perhaps sitting still on the market or getting sold. And again, there is another blog, because we love a blog. There's another blog here on tips, and how obviously to do those styling tips and how to really give your home that edge. And then it's down to compelling words. What does the description look like? And this is also something to look at when you are perhaps comparing agencies. Look at a particular listing and look at how they've done the description. Is it just like a kind of generic one paragraph? It's just words. It's hard to read. And do you know what, actually, this is why it's also interesting. The client that I was at this morning that's actually moved over to ourselves, it's actually it's on the outskirts of Cooper. It's actually in a little village. It's not in Cooper, but the description was just one paragraph and it said in the town of Cooper. And I was like, but you're not in Cooper. Granted, that's where you would commute to, but you're not in Cooper. We've not actually said that actually the village that we're in, he's actually got its own primary school. It's got a bus stop. It actually has a tower where they do family activities. That was not highlighted anywhere in the description. And I was like, if somebody's looking for a semi-rural lifestyle or that little village location, they don't think they're getting that with this property.
Oh,
and
those little details are vital, aren't they?
And you know what? It was one of those things. It was only when I said it to the client, she was like, you're absolutely right. There's not even mentioned this village. And I was like, they've not. And it's just little things like that. And then is the description perhaps just a generic of descriptive words, where I think ours are fantastic, where you've got each room detailed, it's got the measurement, and it's got everything down to the radiators, the flooring, the type of flooring, it's got everything in it. So actually we need to make sure it's compelling. It needs to highlight everything while also being really descriptive. And it needs to come across really enthusiastic while also being in detail. And I think that's key as well. So between all of those, between your description, between your photography, the video works, the location tours, and then obviously you getting it ready and having its curb appeal, all of that is about making sure every single touch point is there for your buyer. And actually having these 4 factors entirely on point, I mean, have proved a winning formula time and time again. Absolutely. So I think that is absolutely key for perfecting your presentation. And to be honest, Perrie, maybe you're the same, but we could probably speak about that until we were blue in the face, until all the tips, like we could, there's so much that we could speak about, but we'd be here for days.
But it's quite a big part of our presentation, isn't it, as well, when we're out with clients to show them and showcase actually what is on offer, because how can you make a decision on something if you don't actually even understand fully what it is that's being offered to you? So I think it's vital that they do understand that whole process and the way that the house will be marketed and the benefits of it as well, I think are really important.
100%. So then we've done obviously the perfecting the presentation, we've done the preparing for success.
Yeah.
What then comes after that, Perrie, would you say?
So for me, phase 3 really is making that market splash. You're now at launch point, aren't you? And for me, the first 2 weeks of your property launching is the crucial point in the whole process, because that is where everything is happening. It's where your agent is showing your property to its current data bank of buyers. It's where they're also showing it to new inquiries as well. So that first 2 weeks is really vital. It's the best way to show your home and capture that existing database that's there, that people are basically hot buyers waiting to find the property of their dreams. So absolutely really important to do that. So use an agent who goes beyond the portals to promote their property, I think is a big thing. If you're needing your home promoted, you've got to have more than just portals to do that. So ask them how they are going to work with social media, for instance. That's a real big thing. How is it being advertised? How are you going to do the exposure for me? How are you going to capture that foot traffic for me? So, do they do social media postings at all, even? Because some don't. If they are going to do a social media post, can they run campaigns? Have they got the AI built into their profiles to be able to capture and target potential buyers who might not even know that your house is the property they want until they see it on social media? It's a massive presence for us. Of course, we do the campaigns on there. Our pre-portals go on there. Our personal property tours go on there. We do coming soons, we do watch outs. There's literally 4 or 5 different markers that you're touching on social media to get that property seen. So again, find out how they do that, because that's going to be vital for you as well. 9 times out of 10, everybody is working on their phones. Everybody has got one of these, or they've got their laptops, they've got their iPads. Social media has a big presence, online presence. Gone are the days where you're just walking into the high street and going into look at a window. It's beyond that now for most people. I would say 95% of people are looking for an online presence. So absolutely, you need to understand that, and what does that look like? So ask them how they will use social media posts. How are they going to do email alerts? How does that work for you? And actually as well, sometimes the old-fashioned way does work in regards to phone calls to drum up interest. What are they going to do there? So, it's not everyone that is on social media. I've said that. So 95% of people will be, but you will have some people who don't. So how do you capture that audience? Because that 5% pot could be where your buyer is sitting. So how do they find it? So what proactively are they going to do? Are they going to email them the brochure? Are they going to email them video links? Are they going to make phone calls and follow that up? So that's really important that you understand that from them as well. I think as well, timing your launch is really important. So you want to build up to a first weekend of viewings. So again, have they considered how they're going to launch it, what day they're going to launch it? Invite your agents to invite their top buyers to view the house. How are they going to do that? So that's really important for you as well. Are they going to do early bird previews? Hello, pre-portal. So, how are they doing that? Or are they literally just going to wait until it hits Rightmove and we'll keep our fingers crossed and see what happens?
And hope the phone rings at some point.
And hope that someone reaches out to us. our way of doing it with the videos and the pre-portal work, the social media side of it, is just paramount. Honestly, anyone that I take to view a property, they literally say to me that I am 95% convinced this is the house for me before I even go in, because I've watched the pre-portal probably 20 times. I've then watched the personal property tour equally for the same amount, if not more. I've looked through your brochure. I've looked at the online listing. I've gone into Rightmove and seen how you've done it. I've read all about it. I'm literally now just coming in to see how does it feel and will my furniture fit the way I think it's going to. But they're 95% convinced before they've even come across the door that that's the house for them. So again, challenge to find out how they're going to do that for you. That for me is a really important one. So, you know, are they going to get some urgency about it? I think that's a big thing as well. And are they going to create that opportunity for you to get your house sold? Because let's be honest, once you've taken that leap of faith to do it, it's quite a nerve-wracking thing. And so you're really putting yourself out there, your home's out there, the world can see it if you're marketed right. And that can be quite daunting. Be quite daunting. So, you know, do they do open houses? Can that be a thing? You know, and that's got to be carefully planned as well, because if you're living in the property and all your personal things are there, you've got to work out how you do that. So, you know, are they going to have certain viewing days? Are they going to be flexible with the viewings? So is it going to be on the same day at the same time? That might not suit buyers. So, you know, how do we build around the client and also the buyer? So that's important. Having open days are not always an essential thing. Actually, sometimes it's better to not do that. Sometimes it's better to have that one-on-one thing. So again, it's really about understanding how it works for you. How can they efficiently get people through your home, but really concentrate them on finding the buyer as well? So that's really important. How do you create that competition as well with your foot traffic for your viewers? So how are they going to do that? That's important to understand. And also, if they are generating offers swiftly, how are they negotiating for you? For me, that's a big thing, because we can order, take an offer, but how do we get the best price? So that's something to really be focused on as well. And again, your preparation work that you did in your preparing for your successful sale, if you've looked at your portals, seen what they're selling, how long it's taking, and then understanding what they've sold for, not what they were listed for, but what they've sold for, also helps you understand the answer to that question. So that's really important for me. Ultimately, your home will be hitting the market, and it should feel for you like an exciting time, and it should feel like a big event. Literally, my clients message me every single time they've seen their pre-portal and go, oh my God, you've made the house look amazing. I'm so happy with that. This is fantastic. You've sold this already. And that's but it's really important that they feel that. It's important that the client feels that positive energy that's coming from that, because if they feel it, then the people looking to buy houses will feel it as well. So again, that's really important. So, you know, good agents will absolutely be more than willing to show exactly how they can do all of these things and make that happen. So challenge them, understand that, and just see how they respond to it as well. And what makes them stand out from the crowd? What makes them different? Because different is what gets you sold, and different is what gets you your best price as well.
Absolutely.
Then we go into what is happening if it doesn't go the way you're planning.
Yes.
Phase 4, review and refresh. What does that look like?
Absolutely. And I think you're right, Perrie. That's absolutely it. It's just reviewing it and refreshing it. If you perhaps don't have an offer in the first couple of weeks of it going live, it's perhaps time to review the strategy, to plan almost that second push with hopefully as much energy as the first time. And I think the key here is, and this is where you would know a good agent is actually, are you having to instigate that? Are you having to initiate that? Or are they coming forward to you and suggesting X, Y, and Z? Or are you kind of having to lead that? Because actually, that's what you've invested in. That's what you're instructed an agent for, is to get your property sold. So if that hasn't been the outcome as of yet, what are they suggesting? Now, I know with ourselves, Perrie, for example, we almost do like the 3 Ps. Are you happy with your photography? Are you happy with the presentation? Okay, then we can look at price point. Obviously, we don't just automatically go for, oh, it's the price. We do like an overall review and obviously see. And I think a big part of that is reviewing the feedback. If there has been viewings, then actually, what is that feedback? You know, common themes sometimes do emerge from viewers. And that often will give you a great insight into perhaps why you haven't had an offer yet. Now, whatever that feedback is, that is obviously for the agent to give you that information constructively, but give you that information and then give pointers on how to rectify whatever that feedback might be, if it is just quick fixes or quick wins. Or actually, we say reviewing feedback, but has there been any feedback for you to actually review? Because if you've perhaps been on in a couple of weeks and you've not had anybody through the door yet, I hate to say it, but that kind of tells you that there's something potentially wrong, because if you've not had one person show interest in through your door and you're happy with your photography and you're happy with the presentation, and your agent can go on and see on Rightmove and Zoopla how many clicks it's had and how many views it's had, because they can get that information for you. If they can see that people have clicked the listing but nobody has come forward, that to me gives a very, very strong indication that it's the price point that's perhaps putting people off. And that's for your agent to guide you and review that and suggest a price review that works, obviously. Now, that is where it's key, is to understand your feedback. And actually, as part of the feedback, yes, your agent can get you feedback, but they also get in you price feedback as well. And what does that look like? And then does that also help us kind of naturally go down the path of a price realignment? But that is the first one, is review your feedback. And are people talking about the presentation of the property, or is there something structurally that perhaps we weren't aware of? What is that feedback telling you? Then we look at the listing and actually what can we do to refresh it. And sometimes it honestly is just as simple as jigging around a few photos and perhaps changing, maybe even taking some photos out, or refreshing the layout and changing. Is there perhaps another kind of wow moment of the property that we want to showcase that people aren't seeing because it's perhaps maybe 6-7 photos down? Or actually, has it got a cracking view that maybe that can be our lead in? So
Exactly.
actually,
If that's the last photo, they might have clicked so far and thought, oh, this is not for me, and they haven't seen the best bits.
exactly. And it's about looking at that order, and really making sure we're maximizing it. And then also taking another look at your photography, and also then taking a look at the description that comes with it as well. Because perhaps maybe at first glance you hadn't noticed something, but actually looking back over it, there's something you want amended or edited, or was it again something that was highlighted perhaps by a previous viewer or something, and you want to maybe mix it up and change it. But that is key. Review your feedback, look at the listing, and make sure we're looking at the listing on all the channels as well, because obviously Zoopla layout is slightly different to the Rightmove layout, and especially to like our website, for example, they all have slightly different layouts. So what does the photography look like on that? Then as well,
I think that's a really good point about the photographs as well, because one of the feedbacks that we had on a previous property was that the lounge was really quite small looking when they'd gone to view it. And actually, I thought that doesn't make sense, because it's a really nice. But where it was slightly different was actually it was quite a long lounge, but it was quite narrow. But it was a lovely big room. But actually, what the client had done, and no one had picked up on it, was the sofas. When you came into the room, the sofa you had a back here, and then you had a sofa in front of it, so almost closed the room off.
Yeah.
And so we thought, how can we change this? So actually, literally, all we did was move the sofa so that they were against the wall and one was at the bottom of the room, rather than them sitting opposite one another in the middle of the room. And suddenly the room was so much bigger. We took a fresh photograph, put it up, job done, house sold. And it was a simple little thing of just thinking about what it is that we're looking at.
And Perrie, that cost absolutely nothing. Not a thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. So, and I think that is an element of it, is looking at some things sometimes differently and getting a fresh set of eyes, or perhaps reevaluating, and that's what it's all about. But then as part of that reevaluating, it is reevaluating the price as well. And firstly, are we opting the pricing bands on the property portals? And if you're wondering what I mean by that, it's firstly, what is the price point of your property? And something so simple that you can go on and do is either on Rightmove or Zoopla, and you're doing a search. You obviously have a minimum, but you also have a maximum as well. Now, within that, you will see the pricing bandings. And as you go up in price point, the difference between each banding increases. So, for example, it starts off in tens, and then as you get higher, it jumps to 25. So, like 300, 325, 350. And then when you get higher, you go 400, 450. If you're perhaps pricing yourself in between a pricing band, you're missing an audience that I'd quite confidently say would have the budget for your property, but just the way that it's been priced, you're missing a whole banding and it's not getting you pushed up to the top. And again, that is the key for an agent, is are we looking at the price banding correctly? And then if we are, then great. Or actually, if we haven't had anything in the last couple of weeks, has there been any new listings since you've gone live that are perhaps slightly lower price than obviously your potential listing, that people are gravitating to that one rather than yours? So have a look at, has there been anything newly listed since?
Yeah.
And then if we are having to do a price realignment, what are we reducing it by? You'll sometimes see some agents and it'll maybe be like on the nose, like 200,000, and they reduce it down to like 199 or 199,950. That has had absolutely zero impact, because actually on Rightmove, you've got to do it by 2% of a reduction, and on Zoopla, you've got to do it by a 3% reduction. Unless you do it by those percentages, it's not getting repushed out there. It's not getting retargeted back to the top as a feature property or a premium listing if you have done that. It's not getting re-emailed to clients. It needs to trigger either a 2 or a 3% reduction for it to be pushed out there again.
Yeah.
If your agent doesn't know that as a basic, then we've got a bit of a problem, to be honest. And it's as plain as simple as that, because you see some reductions and they've taken it from 200 to 1999. That's done absolutely nothing. It's not reached a new audience. It's not pushed it back out there. And you're just going to be in the same position and have to reduce it again in potentially 2 weeks, 3 weeks time. So actually, how is your agent guiding you through that?
Mm-hmm.
And then also, when a price reduction has been done, are we then going back to potential previous viewers or potentially previous people that had offered on the property but were slightly under, but actually now they've seen it's been reduced down, or perhaps they've been looking and nothing else has come up and actually they were maybe just waiting out and they have got a little bit more in the back pocket that they weren't aware of, or they were aware of but they were being sneaky. So actually we're going back to those previous clients and letting them obviously say, property is still available. Do you want to come back for a second viewing? Do you want to reinstate your offer? What does your number look like? What is your feedback? And again, is your agent proactively doing that rather than, again, just waiting for the phone to ring? What are they doing when you have done this review and refresh? Because it's all great doing review and refresh, but if there's already clients there linked to the property, go back to them as well, because that is a lot of the heavy work's already been done for you. And I think that is the key here, has you've got an agent that is proactive like that and is able to do all that. Because actually, that with extra knowledge of the market really does help you move forward with the marketing, with obviously the review, with the price point, and that will then help the momentum and, fingers crossed, seal the deal. But what does that look like?
That is the key part, sealing the deal, because all of this preparation and all these 4 phases, the preparing for success, the perfect presentation, the make a market splash, the review and refresh, all of this is about sealing the deal and getting the house sold at the end of the day. That's all you want to happen. You want your property sold. So wouldn't it be nice if every buyer offered the full asking price or more as soon as they basically finalise the viewing? It doesn't always happen. Real life is not like that, unfortunately, and they will want to go home and they will want to think about it and they will want to consider. So we need to look at how you can really speed up that process, so that you're not left tearing your hair out and being frustrated, and also to try and just get those deals across the line as well. So really important that you act on those quickly. So for me, don't take low offers personally. Clients always do, but buyers sometimes will just chance it because they're testing the water. So don't take it personally if they do low ball offer you. Every buyer has their own way of doing their negotiations, and how they think about things as well. It's perfectly normal for someone to come along and try their luck before they then increase it. Everybody does, don't they?
Of course. Yeah.
And I think that's, for me, the biggest thing that I would give on feedback is then the sellers need to keep calm if that happens. They can't then think, is this all my house is going to be worth then? You've told me this, I'm expecting that, and someone's come in and offered a low number. It's about just taking a step back, breathing, and just taking a pause and work out how that works. But we need to be negotiating firm as well, but also soft, because there's a coaching that has to go around this as well with buyers. Buying a home is a huge commitment. It's a big commitment for anyone. And I think for that, sometimes gently does it works as well. So you need to be firm, but you need to be fair, and you need to be gentle, and you need to be understanding. And it's about how you navigate all those emotions with the buyer and also with your seller, because the seller is potentially getting frustrated with low offers. So your agent should really be able to stand their ground, negotiate, keep the conversations warm so that they don't go cold and the buyer walks away, and really be edging that buyer towards success and uplifting their number and basically putting our number forward that you're going to be comfortable with. And I think that for me is the key thing as well. The common thing that will happen, and we hear this often, don't we? And buyers do it even though the property is valued the way that it's valued. So for me, it's, I love the house. I know it's listed at 170, but I'm only going to offer 160 because I want to put a new kitchen in.
Yes.
And I'm like, right. So you want the seller to pay for your new kitchen?
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
The property is valued at 170 because it needs a new kitchen. If it already had a new kitchen, then the chances are it'd be valued at 180. But sometimes buyers will do that. I know, but I love it, but I want to offer 10,000 less because I want to landscape the garden, or I want to make changes to the bathrooms. Those are personal things that you wish to do. They're nothing to do with the way that the property has been valued. And sometimes people will just, buyers in particular, will act in that way because they're thinking, if I can get that for 10 less, then that's my kitchen thrown in as well. And it's not cost me anything. And that can be frustrating. So you want to keep those buyers warm, and it's about how the agent navigates through that as well and just gets that clarity and decisions through. Clearly, I wouldn't express it in that way to the buyers, but this is us talking. But that will sometimes happen where they'll say that, well, actually, I want to put a new kitchen in and I need to do all the flooring, and I can't, if they're doing that work, I can't offer what they're asking. So it's about how you navigate through that as well and have some strong kind of points on how you would negotiate effectively. And I think it's about looking beyond the numbers sometimes as well. I think sometimes, and you'll find this in particular, Sophie, when you've done a relisting like you just have, sellers have a number in their mind.
Yes.
Sometimes that number in their mind is actually not even the started number. So they may have a number in their mind. They'll get their valuation done. They'll get 3 agents out. One agent will say 300, one will say 280, one will say 285. 300 is the only number that they'll hear because they're thinking 300. If I could get 300, that's fantastic. So it's about managing the expectation there as well. So you've got to think beyond the numbers. There's more to your buyer's price than what they offer. The big thing there is consider the financing. Whether there's a chain is a big thing.
Yes.
Can they move on the decisions that they're making in the timeline that works for you? And secondly, something that we don't often speak about as well, for you as a seller, what is your motivation for selling is a massive thing for me. So if you've got a big life change, and actually, if it's 10,000 away from the dream number that you have in your mind, what does that 10,000 really cost you in real terms? In regards to, you've maybe already found your dream home. Do you want to lose it for that number? You may have found the place that fits perfectly with your new job, with your children going to schools, and it's the ideal thing. And it's about that risk factor. And sometimes there has to be that open discussion as well about, well, actually, I know that was your number in your head. Where that number came from wasn't negotiated through us. It's come from somewhere else. We need to be thinking about your end game here. And what in real terms does it cost? Because sometimes people will get an early offer as well, and it's a great early offer, and they'll go, well, it's just been listed, we'll wait. And then actually, then there's no more offers for 3-4 weeks, and they think, well, hang on, actually, I would walk through hot coals at the moment to get that first offer that I had, but that's too late now, because 9 times that person's been a hot buyer. They've moved on to something else. They've found their other home. That offer no longer exists. And that for me is where the conversations need to happen as well in regards to that. Absolutely, we want to get the best price. Of course we do. And all of the way that we market it should achieve that for you. But if you get an offer and it ticks all the boxes in regards to what you need to do with life, sometimes there's a bit of consideration needs to happen there as well. So there's a bit of a flip there. It works between the buyer and also the seller. And for me, it's not just all about the buyer and their number.
Absolutely. I think that's a very, very good point, and almost a good point to end on, Perrie, as almost kind of final thoughts. But if you are looking to make a swift and a smooth move, then reach out. And this is what we'll always say, it's about making informed decisions. And actually, that is the key here, getting your ducks in a row and making informed decisions. So you can read back through this blog, you can see all the different links in there to all the different posts that will really help you with those next steps and move forward. But feel free to reach out to us, and we are more than happy to guide you through your property journey.
Perfect. I think that's a fantastic place to stop. Brilliant. Lovely. Well, that's us for this week, isn't it?
All the best. Take care.
Take care all.
Bye for now. Bye for now.